I can rebuild Scarlets now. After 10 minutes my villagers started a rebellion against me. 10 tenths can recommend. Like Banish, but you can now stab people. I went into this game having already played the demo, and that was a thing. I learned important lessons about food and fuel during that, and thought I was ready for this. I was wrong. Things went smoothly for my first 10 or so winters, biding my time and slowly building up. I managed to keep the supply chain going, having no issues with food, fuel, or other goods needed for upgrades and further expansion. My subjects were a happy bunch who worked hard and partied harder. The forests were well kept, the fields were flourishing, and people had the extras aplenty. The one thing I failed to account for was the brigands, who decided I was a juicy target. Their first band was beaten by the Baron's army before they even got to my territory, a great success for my unprepared militia. A couple of springs later, they returned in force. My militia was even less prepared for this attack, and ended up being nuked by the bastards. They proceeded to destroy nearly the entire village, and stole most of my food stores. I worked diligently to rebuild the lost homes, workplaces, markets, and church. The loss of all that food resulted in the village starving from October onwards, and it didn't get any better after that following fall's harvest. My people spent yet another winter starving, but steadfast and faithful that the situation would improve, but were they wrong? Following that winter's starvation, the brigands came once more during the summer. New crops were well on their way, and things had the potential to look bright. The people's and mine, as a result, hopes and dreams were crushed in yet another devastating battle for my reformed militia and tiny retinue. It was a massacre. The blood of poor farmers, cobblers, hunters, brewers, loggers, and many more was spilled across the houses and fields. The young were annihilated in the second sacking of the church. The manor's walls were swiftly torn down. The burgages, farmhouses, and markets were burned to a fine crisp. The pandemonium was palpable as I hopelessly watched all I'd built be torn to the ground. To round of the brigands' attack, that bastard Baron decided now was the time to claim my land. He swiftly moved in and finished of the remaining brigands, and destroy what little the brigands had yet to destroy of my now defenseless village. I could only watch in 12x speed horror as his army celebrated on what once was a bustling, up-and-coming town. The pain in my heart is untenable, my sorrow unquenchable, my desire for revenge impossible to ignore. I will avenge this loss in my next attempt at besting that robber baron. I swear on my unborn children's soul that it will be done. Game is well worth its current price. 10 tenths would die to brigands and starvation again. My village is poor, hungry, cold, and homeless. Raiders keep murdering my babies. Pull send help. 10 tenths. I click play Manor Lords. I saw beautiful landscape and peaceful village. I was thinking how good it is to have such life. I go outside. It stinks of. I go inside. I click play Manor Lords. Like Banish, but you can now stab people. Performance is ass. Although it has promising bones, this game is going to need serious tuning before it actually becomes fun to play. Right now there's a lot of potential, but once you realize how things are going to turn out, it's actually untenable. Like how the game tells you to do plowing and sowing in the autumn, and this results in just wasting work because your crops will be destroyed and reset. When winter comes, you should actually plant in the spring, which seems obvious, but is the opposite of what the game tells you to do. Similarly, the combat is strange, with outnumbered archers sometimes defeating spearmen in pure melee combat. Flanking and surrounding enemy formations also seems to grant no benefit. Every time you give a move order, your units to fall to running, which causes them to lose energy and effectiveness very quickly. The overall balance of the competition with the off-map rival lord is strange. With them claiming at least for territories, there's only about 8 on the whole map before you're likely to have enough resources to take even one additional plot, let alone the population and industrial buildup. To even really need another region, their armies also tend to be about twice what you could conceivably acquire or hire, despite never building anything on the map, so they have nothing for you to raid, and will just snap up territory to be a nuisance to you. Buy it, peasants. Good. I'm still shocked this game is made by one guy. Greg, this is an excellent start so far. I'm having a blast. I love city builders, but I'm terrible at making my settlements look good. Manor Lords is a refreshing change to that. Something about the UI involved in building has resulted in all of my settlements looking incredibly cool. The ability to walk around in first person allows me to see all that coolness from a different angle. There's no functionality to the first-person view, but it's very enjoyable. Expect a few bugs and slightly thin content, but this game is still worlds ahead of many of the early access titles recently released. Graphics are excellent, gameplay is fun, and the future is bright for this one. Edit: I'm not sure what game Rock Paper Shotgun played, but this is not a Total War style game. The developer explicitly states that, so I'm not sure why that quote is included on the Steam page. Be me. Lord of the Manor, built plenty of homes so the peasants could stop yapping about being homeless. Farm fields up and running, and I'd sent some rag-covered hags into the woods for berries and game. Things are looking nicely. Winter comes, food supply plummets, more villagers move in. By now there are 90 villagers. Spring is right around the corner and we might survive with only 2 months of food supply left. Spring arrives, food production starts to go back up. Somehow families still starving, they're eating the food immediately as it becomes available. Destroy some homes to stem the tide of hungry villagers, villagers riot, food becomes scarce. Panic, bandits come, villagers die. Last family running the church ends up burying the whole lot. 2 families left alive, save and close game. Take a nap and start a new save. GG 12 tenths would sacrifice more peasants next time to punish them for being gluttons. Great game. Love it, can't stop playing it. I bought my GF a copy and now she's glued to the screen tormenting peasants. Nothing on the market like it. This game looks and is amazing. This game is a relaxing and a fantastic time. I've lost hours to this game already, and my Twitch chat loves being made into soldiers to die for their king. 10 tenths. Imagine not buying this game. 3 hours in and my town's already bigger than every city in Skyrim. My land wasn't fertile, 10 tenths would starve again. How can you not buy this game? A game that was developed by a single person. A game that can really compete with a AAA game. It's a real little miracle to see this in 2024. This proves one thing to us: the word AA really doesn't mean anything. Devs passionate about video games have deserted the studios, leaving room for marketing teams where their only ambition is to sell games. It's up to us to encourage small studios and people who are really passionate about video games to do more, innovate, and finally offer us real old-fashioned games and not marketing products. Thanks for the great work, Greg.